Guys, just give me a moment. God, okay, we're good. We are good. So, I want to congratulate the Pittsburgh Steelers on their win. That was a difficult game, man. That was a tough game. That was a physical game. That was that Ravens Steelers type game, man. That was that AFC North football. That game was physical. It had everything, man. It was physical. It was competitive. Defense was all over the place. Defense showed up on both sides for the most part. It was epic, man. We had fights, which we always, every time we see these guys, we know somebody going to fight. We had an ejection with Judon. It's everything you want in the Ravens-Steelers matchup, except for the one thing, the injuries. And that's what sucks about this game and sucks about this rivalry. Every time these two teams meets up, for some reason, somebody gets dropped. Somebody gets injured, and it's terrible to see. We just saw Stanley went down. We saw Hayward went down. We saw a couple people on both sides go down, and it was terrible. You hate to see injuries. Best of luck to those guys. We're rooting for them. Hopefully they have a speedy recovery. But it's just tough to see that. But that's just part of the rivalry. It's so physical that you see this, man. It's so physical. And that's what makes this rivalry the best rivalry in the NFL right now. It's been the best rivalry since the turn of the millennium. It's the best, man. Every time these two teams meet up, you never know what's going to go down. And it always comes down to the wire. And either defense shows up or a quarterback makes the play of the game. And that's exactly what happened here. So, let's get into it. Let's start with the Ravens defense today. Ravens defense did what they've always done against Pittsburgh. They start out strong. They make it difficult for Ben. They put him on the ground. They hit him. They make it difficult, and they shut them down for the most part. A lot of games early on, the Ravens defense just swarms Ben Roethlisberger, and he's not able to do anything early on. But that never lasts for long. By the second half, Ben starts cooking. And that's exactly what happened here. Defense were doing their thing. They shut this Pittsburgh Steelers offense down and gave up 0 points on offense. Second half, however, that was not the case, man. They gave up 2 touchdowns, bruh. They gave up 2 touchdowns on offense. They couldn't stop Ben Roethlisberger and this crew in the second half. They were just getting manhandled. They were getting manhandled for much of the second half. When you actually needed the defense to show up, they were gone. They were gone. And part of that has to do with the fact that they were exhausted because our offense was not helping them out. They continuously had to go out there when our offense was lackluster. And they had to go out there, snap after snap, deal with that Steelers offense that's getting more and more and more of a rhythm. And it comes down to that. But when we needed our defense to show up most with the game on the line and we needed them to make the stop to get us the ball back, defense did it. They made the stop, got our offense the ball back, and it was up to the offense to finish off the rest. The defense did their job. The one thing I didn't like about the defense today was the penalties. I believe they had over 100 yards of penalties strictly on the defense. That's not good. That's not good. And a lot of them were like, personal foul calls, pass interference, like, no, we got to clean up on those, guys. We got to clean up on those. We cannot be granting our opponent yards. It's going to hurt us down the stretch. So we definitely have to clean up on those moving forward. That's something we got to clean up for. No discussion. Defense got to get it together when it comes to those penalties. But overall, the defense played good enough to win this game. And when we needed them to make a stop, they did. In previous years, man, the defense would not stop the Steelers at that point. The Steelers would get the first down and the game's over. But when we needed them to make a stop to get our offense the ball back, defense did their job and made a stop. So, credit to this defense. The defense continues to get better. They're playing well. And Patrick Queen, oh my God, Patrick Queen, Defensive Rookie of the Year. He made that stop on 4th down. He said no to Connor. He made that stop. This is why you go out and get a guy like this. This is why you draft him. This is why you draft him. I'm so glad he's going to be here for the foreseeable future. Patrick Queen is a beast. But yeah, great job on the defense. They did what they needed to do. Now let's move on to offense. Offense today was unacceptable. It was unacceptable. Granted, it was up and down for the most part, but overall, it was unacceptable, man. You can't play like this. You can't. You cannot, when your defense is balling like that, you can't. Let's start with the main guy itself, Lamar Jackson. Dude, you have not been playing up to your own standards. You have not looked like an MVP quarterback, and you have been costing your teams. We haven't lost much, but your play has been actually hurting the defense. And today, honestly, I can put it this loss, a lot of the blame goes on you, the quarterback. Because those 2 interceptions, where you had 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles, you turned the ball over 4 times, Lamar. 4 turnovers, 2 interceptions, 1 was a pick 6 to start the game? How are you going to start the game hurting your team, Lamar? And both the picks were just awful, man. The pick 6, I mean, it was just terrible. What are you doing, man? Like, I understand the pressure was getting to him on the first pick, and he just lazily threw it because he saw an open Prochet, but that was easy pickings. Easy pickings right there, pick 6. Then the second one was right at the beginning of the third quarter. First possession for us, we choose the pass. It is what it is. I don't really got a problem. If you want to pass, you want to pass. But you had a guy in Patrick Ricard where you could have thrown the check down. It would have been fine. You try to lob this ball up to Mark Andrews with the defender right there. And it's such an easy pick for the Steelers to get. You gave them 2 gifts, Lamar. Halloween was yesterday, and you gave them 2 gifts today. Why are you giving out treats to the Steelers defense? You've got to be better, man. Those 2 interceptions gave the Steelers 14 points. And not only that, that second interception kick-started the Steelers offense. Because now that they got to get to the end zone, they were able to know they can score on these guys and they can move the ball. And they started getting it going and getting it going and getting it going. And next thing you know, our defense could not stop these guys or slow them down at all. They made some stops definitely in the second half, but for the most part, Pittsburgh was moving the ball down the field against our defense. So, Lamar, you've got to be better, man. At some point, you've got to look at your play and understand this is unacceptable. You can't play like this, man. You are an MVP. You must be held accountable for your play. Now, granted, for most of this game, you played terrible. But in the second half, first let's start with the first half. After you threw that pick, you recovered, you threw a touchdown to Boykin. Congrats to Boykin. He actually did something in this game today, and it looks like they're starting to get in sync with each other. So hopefully the bye week helped out with that connection. Good job on Boykin. And in the second half, you threw that pick again, Lamar. But again, you had a drive. You went down the field. You scored a touchdown to Hollywood Brown to give us the lead. That was also good. But for the most part, Lamar, you were just rattled. Your decision making was not great. You made bad throws here and there. You missed a couple of guys. You made a lot of dangerous and risky throws. Honestly, you should have like 3 or 4 interceptions in this game. You were not great today. And I have to hold you accountable. This is not last season, man. You are an MVP. I'm fumbling right now. But you are the reigning MVP, Lamar. You are held to the standard of being the reigning MVP. You've got to go out there and win these games. And you cannot be making mistakes the way you were. Those were terrible picks. I got to hold this on you. A majority of the loss today goes to you because those 4 turnovers made the difference. And you, as the leader of this team and as the quarterback of this team, you're held responsible. You've got to play better. If you don't play better, whatever happens with this team, the blame's going to go on you. That's just how it works. You're the quarterback. You've got to play up to your own standard that you set last year. As the reigning MVP, you've got to play like the reigning MVP. And today you didn't. Your play was unacceptable. I'm disappointed in you. You've got to be better. I know you're more than me. I know you're disappointed in yourself because you know your play today was unacceptable. So I expect you to get better moving forward. We're going to see this team again. And it's going to be in Heinz Field on Thanksgiving. You need to be ready to face off against that defense again. And you need to be ready to not turn the ball over and to protect the ball and to be better with your decision making. With that being said, You actually did well on the final drive. I have no problem with how you played in the final drive. In fact, you showed what you can do on that final drive. You're over there moving the ball, making plays, and that pass to Snead to get us within range to possibly win the game. That was a beautiful throw by you. You stepped up and threw it down the field, got us in range, and I was like, that's a hell of a throw by Lamar Jackson. Great play by the man. And with the last play of the game, you threw it to Snead. I have no problem with you throwing it to Snead. You put the ball right on the money, right in the hands of Snead. It's just that Snead got leveled by the Steelers' defense. I mean, they just walloped him. I personally feel there should have been a penalty because that's a hit on the defenseless receiver, man. Like, there's 3 guys there. He gets hit from the top, hit from the side, and hit from the legs. They just mollymopped this dude. Ball's in his hands, and they just crush him. I felt like a penalty should have been called. We should have had one extra play. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. The refs let the game play out, and that's the result. But that pass to Snead for the game was a perfect throw by Lamar. It was a beautiful throw. And had Snead been able to get that in, despite the fact the defense is there, we would have won the game. So I'm not mad at Lamar for that last drive, but overall for the game, his play was unacceptable. You got to improve, Lamar Jackson. You've got to improve. Next, let's move on to the offense in general, not just the quarterback. Receivers, I don't have any problems with the receivers today. For the most part, they weren't getting a lot of looks for much of the game until later in the second half. But yeah, I don't have any problems with them. When they were getting looks, they were catching their passes. It's not like they were making bad plays or just dropping balls or not running the right routes. They were all doing their job. They were blocking well, and they were catching the ball. They were all doing their job. Boykin did his job. Snead did his job. Duvernay, who, by the way, you got to get this man some more snaps. He did his job. Also, great job to Snead today. He played excellent. Him and Duvernay, they're going to have to share those snaps equally because they're both out here making plays. And it seems like Snead's trying to step his game up. But yeah, Boykin, Duvernay, Snead, they all played well. Andrews, he could have been better. Hollywood Brown, whenever I think he had 1 catch in this entire game. He got that touchdown. He did whenever the ball came to these guys, receivers made plays. So I have no problem with how the receivers played today because there were times where they got open and either the pressure got to Lamar and Lamar just didn't see them. So receivers, they weren't the problem in this game, so I'm not going to blame them. Offensive line, you guys did not play well today. You did not play well today at all. I believe Lamar got sacked 5 times in this game. He got hit a whole bunch of times. The Steelers' front 7 roughed up Lamar Jackson in this game. This is the most he's ever been beaten up in a game, in my opinion. This Steelers defense put the smack down on this man, Lamar Jackson. And the offensive line was just bad today. But I'm not really going to hold it on them. We lost Tyreek Phillips, and then we lost Ronnie Stanley, who is our best offensive lineman and one of the best left tackles in the game. When you lose Stanley, obviously the offensive line is not going to do well in terms of pass protection, but we got to give them credit. Those 2 went down, but the offensive line did well blocking for the run game. They did well blocking for the run game. And both Gus and J.K. were able to take off. J.K. Dobbins, I'm telling you, man, he's going to have to be the starting back. Moving forward, he has to be the starting back. The way he played in this game, you can see he has to be the starting back. He has to be our number 1. Greg Roman, John Harbaugh, you have to see this. He has to be the number 1. I'm sorry. You have to put him as the number 1 back because today he earned it. And I'm telling you, he's only going to get better the more snaps we give him. Make him the number 1 back. You can put him at 1. You can put Gus at 2. Or when Ingram gets back, you want to put Ingram at 2? Sure. But JK needs to be the main back. That's just how I personally feel about it. Because the way he performed over 100 yards rushing for him today, he was a beast. We got to continue feeding this man the ball. Speaking of that, run game was great today. Run game was great today. You know, that Steelers defense, you're not supposed to be able to run on them. They stopped the run. Well, they couldn't stop these boys today, man. These guys went out there and they ran all over that Pittsburgh defense. Granted, Pittsburgh started to tighten up as the game got closer, but Baltimore was able to run the ball. And on the second to final drive for us, where we were trying to score a touchdown before we got stopped on 4th down, we were running the ball all the way down the field. Couldn't stop us. Running the ball, it just couldn't stop us. So the run game was spectacular. It was the best aspect of this game. I liked what I saw. Great job by the run game. We got to keep that going moving forward. Great job. Fantastic job by the run game. Last but not least, Greg Roman. Greg Roman, you weren't the worst today, but you weren't the best today. You had a lot of different play calls today that I did not agree with, and a lot of decision making you made that I did not agree on. But you were a lot more creative in the pass game, especially in the second half, than you are usually for most games. So I'll give you credit. The one play that you were very creative was with the Duvernay play. You had Duvernay in the slot, and I'm trying to remember the play for the most part. It seems like it was crossing routes between. No, it wasn't. It wasn't a crossing route. But you had both Hollywood and Duvernay streaking up. No, I think it was a crossing route because Hollywood was coming from here and Devin Duvernay was. No, I can't remember the play exactly, but I believe it was a crossing route, and it was actually creatively set up because it actually was able to trick the defense into letting Duvernay get behind them, and that was actually a good play call by Greg Roman. So I was okay with that. Also, he started getting back into the run game in the second half. He started working to his strengths. He made those adjustments and understood that we got to run the ball on these guys because we were able to do that in the first half. So let's start doing that in the second half. He was able to do that, and we had success. So good on Roman for continuing to run the ball. So I'll give him credit where his credit's due, but he's going to have to step it up. Like I've said, Roman, this could be your last season. Whatever happens between now and the end of the season, whether we get in the playoffs and win the Super Bowl, or if we get in the playoffs, go one and done, or if we even miss the playoffs, who knows? Whatever happens moving forward, your decision-making and this offense determines whether or not you're going to be here after this season. So it's up to you to step your game up because you've got to be better with the play calling. And of course, we know the execution's got to be better and all this stuff. We got to see better play from the receivers, and Lamar Jackson himself needs to play better. But again, with the play calling, you yourself, you can show that. You've got to be more creative, man. And you're starting to show some level of creativity, or at least trying to. You're getting Devin Duvernay more involved, which I love. Let's continue to get Devin Duvernay more involved. But we'll just have to see how it goes for the most part. I think Greg Roman, this is your season to prove it. Either you show us you can be creative and his offense gets back to some level of greatness, or you're out at the end of the season. We'll see what happens. The rest is up to you, man. But yeah, congrats to the Steelers again. Ben Roethlisberger did not have the greatest of games, but in the second half, he turned it on and looked like the Big Ben that always gave us terrors. Threw a couple touchdown passes, looked nice. Steelers defense, that's the best front seven in football. They tormented Lamar all day. They forced him to turn the ball over 4 times, and when they needed to, they made the stop at the goal line to win the game. So credit to the Pittsburgh Steelers for doing what they got to do. Well done. You made the stop because if you guys did not crush Snead, he was catching that football and we were walking away with the game winner. They knew that, so they made the play. Credit to the Steelers defense, man. They're going to be a problem. We'll see you guys on Thanksgiving, but this is giving me like '08 vibes, man. This is giving me '08 vibes. Like, we might see these guys in the playoffs, and they might just, in Heinz Field again, and it might just not go well. I'm scared to see that. If we lose to Kansas City in the playoffs, I'm not gonna be safe. Let me stop. I'm not gonna be fine losing to Kansas City in the playoffs, but I will not be nearly as crushed if we lose to them as if we were to lose to Steelers. Like, if we lose to the Steelers, I'll be crushed. If we lose to the Kansas City Chiefs, I'll be mad. I'll probably make a raid video, but I'll move forward. Steelers win, that's going to be haunting me for weeks, man. I hate losing to the Steelers. This is going to be on my mind all week. It's going to suck. It's going to hurt. But you know what? We just got to move forward and move on to next week. You can't do anything now. We gave it our all, despite the fact that we didn't play well. They gave it their all, despite the fact that they didn't play a complete game, or at least the game they wanted to. And the game came down to one play at the goal line. Defense beat offense, so Steelers walked away with a W. They're 7-0. We're 5-2. There's still a long race for this division. We'll see what happens. But Pittsburgh, they're a real threat, man. That's all I got to say. It's been a long video. Congrats to the Steelers again. Ravens, let's regroup. Let's figure out our troubles. Let's fix this offense, and let's see what we can do next week. That's all I got, and I'm out of here, man. Peace. Go Ravens. Swear to God, we can't keep losing like this. We can't lose to the Steelers.